Nicole O'Neill once said, when you find the courage to use your voice, it has the power to positively inspire and change the lives of others. It is one of the special gifts you have to offer the world. It is something to be cherished and championed, never hidden. And that is why we are here on Your Voice, Your Impact. I am the energetic EJ. I am a life and transformational coach, and I work with women aged 40 and above to turn their abandoned dreams into achievable goals by activating their voice for impact. I'm also a podcaster and an event host. On this show with me is
Great, so amazing. The goal of this show is to help people use their voices to create impact. I am a physicist and a life coach. What I do for my clients is I help them build systems to achieve their goals whilst having fun doing it. On this show, we discuss topical issues that can inspire you to move. Like, subscribe, and share. Welcome aboard.
All right. Welcome to Your Voice, Your Impact. Welcome to the show today. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you've had a great weekend and your week is off to a great start. So today on the show, we are super excited. This is the last Monday in September and in Q3. Can you even believe that? Like 2025 is gradually bidding us goodbye. Let me bring on Gracie. Let's talk about our weekend and see how that goes. Hello, Gracie. How are you? And how are you doing?
So you're looking so pretty like this. What happened?
It's Jesus glow.
This is extra. This is you are shining. You're glowing, and I love it.
Thank you, sis. How was your weekend?
It was good. I mean, okay. This has because of this question, sometimes I like to make it as eventful as possible. I was working this weekend, this Saturday. Saturday was work for me because my little clients, they resumed school, so they couldn't come during the week. So we had to schedule a meeting for the weekend, and it was a little hectic. So I was happy because I was afraid that because of the distance. I mean, we had not met until that Saturday. I was just a little worried. I hope they've not, but I was very happy that, they are catching up very well, and
That's amazing. I am sure, as busy as your weekend was, there was some self-care in there. What was it you did this time, even though it was busy?
What was the self-care thing I did? This apart from my fitness is sure banker. I was hoping I was going to have a massage, but it didn't happen. So that was what I wanted to do. But I slept very well on Sunday after service. I had a good sleep. I think that was the special thing that I did, for me on Saturday.
For yourself.
On Sunday. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that's also on point, because if you can sleep well, it's a plus. It's a win-win. It's a win-win indeed. So, okay. So in case you are looking at I'm just trying to monitor to see where we are at, in case there are comments, because for some reason the comment on LinkedIn don't always show. So I like to monitor on LinkedIn especially. So in case there are any comments that are coming in, we can see it. But, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're joining us on any of the platforms, kindly, say hi in the comments and be a part of the conversation. My weekend was good as well. I think, yes, I was indoors all through on Saturday. Yeah, I was indoors all through on Saturday. But on Friday, I attended a friend's daughter's birthday, and it was good. It was just lovely to see teenagers. She turned 16, and it was beautiful. They are such a beautiful bunch, right? A lovely and lively bunch. And that went well. And then, I'm currently running 2 cohorts of a course by John C. Maxwell called Beyond Success, and that is going well. So we had one of the cohorts, we had our sessions on Friday. So yeah, and Sunday, of course, I'm in church and enjoy myself. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was how my weekend went. It was good. I recently started the 5 a.m. club journey. Oh my god, my body is now at the point where it is fighting it. Like I wake
Mm.
up the normal 5 a.m. I spend in fact, probably 2 hours, first 2 hours, being very super productive. But then the rest of the day, my goodness, I am struggling to stay awake. I am
So
struggling
you
to
get to
stay
wake
awake.
up early. You get to wake up 5 a.m. Then
Yes.
what's the routine like? What do you okay,
So the
you're in a
first hour, The
yeah.
first hour is 20 20 20. First 20 minutes workout. Second 20 minutes journaling and thinking. And then third 20 minutes learning something, right? So whether it's a
Mm,
course, you're reading a book or something. So that's how it goes. But of course, I feel like, yes, the concept is great, but it's almost impossible to have it like 20 minutes because by the time you
yeah.
finish working out, you cannot immediately. So by the time I do all of those, but set the 20 20 minutes, I spend anything between 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 2 hours, especially when the learning part, like that one, I don't even time
Mm,
myself. I just ensure I'm completing either a course I'm doing or a book, a chapter or something that I'm reading. So, but it's been good. I love it because the beautiful part is before midday, you are feeling like, what else am I supposed to be doing today? Because you've done all
mm,
the weightlifting things, and then it
yeah.
becomes like, okay, what else can we add to our day? So I love it, and I'm hoping that I will be able to keep it up, you know, continuously until it becomes
Well
second
done.
nature. But I love it. I love it. All right. Yes. So today, our guest, I'm excited about our guest today because is this the first time we're having somebody from the entertainment industry per se?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
I think
interesting. Yeah, I think so.
I
And it's
think so,
interesting
yeah.
that it's under career because when people talk about career, it's not the first thing that will come to mind. Maybe because of how we grew
Exactly.
up, where if you're deciding to go and
Suit and
choose
tie. It's what
entertainment, are
suit
you
and
are you
ties.
okay? Like, what are you doing with
Suits
your life? Get a real job, as if entertainment or the creative space is not a real job. But of course, we know the creative space is the space now. Like
is the space.
everyone is a creative now. If you're in business, whether you're in business or career or whatever it is, a professional, there is a side that would showcase your creativity because you have to create content and all of that. So I'm super excited about our guest today. And so Caiyad Phahad is going to come tell us a little bit about himself and where he's from and the meaning of his name and why it is spelled Caiyad because it almost sounds like Said, but it's spelled Caiyad, right? So we're talking about self-discovery as a great career guide. And so he'll be sharing his story with us today. So ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome up on this virtual stage Caiyad Phahad.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so
How
much.
are you
Thank you so much.
doing?
Super, super excited and super happy to be here. And thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome, awesome. We love it. We love it. Okay, so we're going to give you the floor to introduce yourself in a way that is very special and memorable. Like if somebody is just popping in and they want to see and they want to hear you, how would you introduce yourself to make them stay like, okay, this guy is interesting. I want to listen to him. Go.
Sure. So just to keep it very simple, I'm the media doctor. I'm called the media doctor, and that's where all the fantasy and then the secret and all that comes along, and then that why a person is called the media doctor. So the thing is that it was initially when I started my career, I've done a lot of stuff in my career. I've done acting, I've done modeling, I've done hosting, I've done entertainment, I've done public speaking, I've done direction, production, event management, celebrity management, so media management. So I've done it all in terms of the media. So initially, when I was going to people and like let's say anyone, and I was introducing myself, so it was a very difficult introduction to say, "Hey, I'm a host and I'm an actor as well. I'm a model as well. I'm an event manager, celebrity manager, director, producer, writer, media manager, PR consultant, and all that kind of sort. So that was very a bit complicated in a way, because then it was hard to kind of digest for people that how come a person is doing so much of stuff. And that is a part of my corporate career, because I'm still working as a corporate person, and I'm working as a consultant and project manager for one of the top bank in the world. So that's my day job. So then a part of that, it was very hard for someone to understand that, oh, a person can do so much of things. So it was difficult. So then one day, we were just brainstorming with different people, and then when I was introducing myself like this to someone, he was a journalist, and then he said to me, hey, why don't you have
Yes.
a title? So can I give you a title which represents you well? So I said, okay, what is that? He said, like, you have a general practitioner and medical, who do a lot of stuff in medical. I mean, who knows a lot of stuff about medical. So why don't we give you a title of the media doctor? Because you know a lot of stuff about media, you do a lot of stuff about media. So why don't you call yourself the media doctor? And that's where the discovery of the media doctor happened, and that's where all it comes from. So that's the story of the title and the name Caiyad Phahad. Why it's written like Caiyad Phahad. Of course, that's also an interesting story, because when I started my career back in 2003, at that time there was no social media, so it was hard to get recognition with a simple name, because Caiyad Phahad is a very common name in the Middle East. The name is it comes from the prince or the king of Saudi, Shah Fahad. So if you know, he was the king of the whole Middle East before. So his name was Shah Fahad. He was the very known king who used to rule the whole Middle East. So his name is Shah Fahad. So Shah is also called Sayyid in Arabic or in Middle Eastern countries. So Shah and Sayyid is the same name and the same representation. So Sayyid comes from there, and Fahad also from his name, because he was a very known personality around Middle East, and a lot of people was naming their kids on his name because of the contribution of his in the Middle East and the Arab countries. So that's the story of the name. But the thing is, why it's written like Caiyad Phahad? Because the thing is, when I started a career 2003, the Caiyad Phahad is a common name. So even if you go around now and Google Caiyad Phahad with Syed Fahad, you will find probably thousands of them. So one fine day when I was working and I was introducing myself again to someone, and I said, okay, I'm doing this and this. He said, how do I find you on internet? And internet was like newbie at that time. It's like early days of internet. People were not like very used to and familiarized of the internet thing. So he said to me, okay, listen, I don't have much time to look into your TV and stuff and your stuff. Give me your link. I will watch when I have time. So I said, what link you talking about? So he said, oh, there's a Google, and then you can just go and Google yourself. So I said, okay. Then one fine night, I was just sitting Googling Caiyad Phahad, and I was like, I'm not able to find myself, because there were like thousands of them. I said, how do I scroll and how do I look for myself? So it was like, it was very chaotic. It's not like that easy. And then I realized that a lot of celebrities around the world have changed their name, means they have come with their pseudonames or a stage name. So I had an option that, okay, since I'm in the beginning of my career, I can either change my name in full, like complete change in the documents and legal thing and all that thing, or I could come back with something like, something interesting, which is my name, but in a creative way. So that whole night I spent to find the spelling of Caiyad Phahad in a much creative way. So that's where I found, and now it has become a brand itself. The problem now I face is, when I go around the world, I say Caiyad Phahad. If I like, let's say if I call you and if you don't have my number saved, and if you're not seeing my face, so if I call you and I say, hey, this is Caiyad Phahad, and if you don't know me well, you would just think that some normal, like ordinary Caiyad Phahad is calling you, some a member who you don't know is calling you. But then I have to now write the spelling before I call someone up, unless he knows me well. So I'm saying, okay, this is my name, this is my number. I'm going to call you in a bit. Then that's how it becomes. So now it's hard for me to to keep this name, and to go around with this name, because it's when it pronounced, it sounds Caiyad Phahad, but it's written, it's Caiyad Phahad. So I have to always introduce myself by telling people, oh, this is Caiyad Phahad, but with Caiyad, and then they say, oh yeah, oh, we know you. So many a times it happens that people actually knows me, but then when I go across them, and when they say, oh, we met Caiyad Phahad, then they're like, oh, okay, it must be just some Caiyad Phahad they met. But then when they say,
Right.
oh no, this one, then they say, oh, you met this guy. So now this has become a bit of challenge which I have to manage and maintain for over the period of time. But now that name has become a brand and become more like recognized and registered around the social space as well, around the world as well. But
Right.
then it's also at the same time gives me a lot of trouble and inconvenience in a way that I have to kind of always write the name before because Syed Fahd in a normal day sounds like Syedfhad, and then
Yeah. Wow. I
so,
mean, it's interesting that the same thing that almost 2003 to now is over 20 something years ago, right? Almost 30, if not, right? Almost 3 decades ago. The
yeah,
same thing that stood you out 30 years later is now bringing, it's not a
yeah.
source of challenge, in the
It,
social media world. It's interesting. But I love the thoughts that went into, naming yourself, differentiating yourself, right? And also just creating that brand for yourself over the years. And it's interesting. I'm curious to know, did you always know from when you were younger that you were going to end up being an entertainment or being an, maybe not necessarily entertainer, but in the media space? Or did it just happen as you moved on in life? Because you've been in that industry for quite a long time, like you've done all the different phases and you're still in it almost 3 decades now, right? But did you know before then, when you were younger, when they asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Did you know I'm going to be on media, or did it just happen as life continued?
well, we cut down the 3 decades to 2 decades because then that makes me look very old. So I prefer to say 2 decades.
You are
so
old, don't worry.
So yeah, I'm always conscious of that. That always worries me. That, oh, I've been here for 20 years. I've been doing this for 20 years. That, like, oh, that's like a lot. So yeah, the thing is that when I started my career, I mean, I was a kid. I was literally a kid in a block. I was just like nothing guy, and I was just like an ordinary guy roaming around. But all I wanted to do in life is just to be famous. I wanted to be famous, and I wanted to do something which gives me fame. So anything which gives me a little fame, like of even a single follower, or someone even just talking about it, I just do that work. So that's how it all started. I was never worried that how much I'm going to get paid out of it, or how much time I'm going to invest into it. I was never worried about that. I had a lot of time in life. I had a lot of energy. I had a lot of craving for learning. I wanted to kind of just learn things. I just wanted to kind of do things. I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to be recognized even by one person, even that one person has no importance in the world. But that just the thing, I wanted to be recognized, registered, because I felt that we all came into this world, and like there are billions and billions and trillions of people around the world, but how many do you know them? Probably few of them. And then and how many leaves the world with a mark left? Very few of them, of course. And very few of them you talk about. So that's the thing which always worries me, that why everyone is doing this, and what's the purpose of them to be here, and what are they doing? If they're gonna go just like that, if a person I know, if he's just gonna die just like that next day, what's his existence? What's the purpose of his life? He just came, he did 9 to 5 job, or some ordinary business. He took care of his family, and that's about it. Only he remains and stays within his family. So that's the thought which I still have it, and that's the thought I had before as well. So that was always, every day worrying me. Where do I stand? Where do I exist? What do I do? What should I do next? What am I doing? Am I sleeping too much? Am I spending too much time on this? Is it worth it? Will it give me some recognition? Will it serve the purpose? So all that thing keeps me driving here and there. So I just, somebody, holds me and say, hey, come here, let's just do some acting. And I say, okay, let's do some acting. They say, oh, come in, you speak well, let's do some public hosting, do some public events. I said, okay, let's do it. Anything which was giving me some kind of a recognition, not the money part. That at that stage, money was not that important for me because I was a kid. I was fine. My expenses were not that much. I was not into too much of brands. I did not have that much of awareness about those brands and social media, because this social media has changed and transformed the life of a lot of people. The way we think, the way we operate. Before, the life was very simple. It was not like, okay, which brand of car you're driving, it doesn't matter. At least you're able to commute. At least you're able to move around. That's good enough. You're even coming by walk or a cycle or a bicycle or whatever, tricycle, whatever, bus or whatever, public transport. It was fine. It was not a matter of a discussion or a judgment. But now everything has become, how many followers you have, how many Instagram followers you have. So people literally don't even talk to you when they say, oh, you don't have that much of followers. And I even came across a lot of people in life on a daily basis, who literally just a random person to me, who has no existence, who has no skill level, but all they did is just Instagram live or TikTok live a day, and then that has got them some million followers or whatever, some strategy they did, and they say, oh, we have more followers than you. But then I look at them, I'm like, oh, but what is your existence? I mean, what have you done? What have you achieved? I mean, what have you done in life? What have you learned? You just turn on the camera, start moving around, shaking around, dancing around, joking around, and you think that's a skill you have, and that's a great skill you have. I mean, that makes you popular probably on one stream or one platform. Probably you got, let's say, well, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, whatever followers you get, but that's on your platform. But in a real life, who follows you? And in real life, who's actually interested in your life and who actually follows you? Probably no one. So that kind of a thing always is still, and is still, it's not that it was bothering me that time, but it still bothers me. It still
Motivation.
shakes me up. It's still like, it gives me jerks at night, like, oh, what am I doing? And then suddenly I wakes up in the middle of a night thinking, I wasted my yesterday, I wasted my last day, I wasted these first week, 2 weeks,
Hmm.
3 weeks, whatever. So that's the thought I have, and that's keeps
That's
me
what has been
running,
driving
keeps
you.
me moving around. Yeah.
I love it. Grace, please, over to you.
I think Grace is so lost today.
Hi, I'm not. I'm listening to you. I mean, I was just writing down some things while you were talking. I just remembered, you talking about people being very famous online and then you wonder what they're really giving. It just reminded me of my nephew. My nephew came and I saw him, was so excited. And I'm like, okay, what is it? He said, he called I can't even remember the guy's name now. He called his name, said the person liked his comment. And I'm like, who is he? He said, Andy, you don't know him? You don't know him? You must be the only person that doesn't know him. And I'm like, okay, who is he? He said, he's a social media influencer. Now, I was like, okay, I know a lot of social media influencers, but this particular one, I don't know him. So let me look at him. And I saw he had like 4 million followers. And I'm like, okay, why have I not, at least even if I don't follow, because I think he appeals to the younger generation. So I was like, but I try to keep myself abreast. I try to, follow through with the Gen Zs and everything. Why don't I really know this person? And it just dawned on me that he was, and I'm saying this just to buttress what you said. I watched all his videos and I couldn't make sense out of everything he was doing. Now, he falls under the category of comedy. He's a comedian. He's not just a comedian. He's an hype man more than he does. What he does doesn't really make sense to me. Like I said, no wonder I don't know him. I follow some comedians that are very funny. I follow them and I like their videos and everything. Yeah. So I just had to mention that because what appeals to one person doesn't appeal to the other person. And it brings me to the question that I would like to ask you, you know, on I mean, in this field as a media doctor and someone who, I mean, talking about self-discovery, what would you say, or how would you say it is very important? Because you mentioned that you did this, you did this, you did that, so you had the capacity to do a lot of things. So if you were to speak to someone, that is trying to know a path or to understand themselves, what would you say? And how do you think it is very important to build a career first by knowing who you are and what you're about?
So thank you for bringing this very important subject, an important topic of our life. And daily basis, we suffer, we face, we come across these scenarios. So talking about the influencer thing, see now that see if we talk about us, probably when we were growing up, we had only few people on our hand who we call celebrities, right? Like Michael Jackson for an extent, to an extent, or Madonna, or probably very few we could just count on, like Michael Jordan probably, or Muhammad Ali maybe. But now the thing is that everyone is a celebrity, and everyone is celebrity in a way that they are famous or they are known around some space, and they have a lot of following, and they come across like they are very known, or they have 4 million followers, 5 million, 410, whatever. But again, people are not actually judging them by their work or the credibility, or their hard work or their journey. Now the thing is, they are just judged by their followers. The moment you say, oh, I'm a very famous influencer, you just go on their Instagram or whichever platform, you just see, oh, 10 million followers, he must be famous. You don't even go into that journey, that okay, how he has become that 10 million follower person or a celebrity or whatever. Nobody has a time or energy to spend and get into the details, that okay, maybe I got that 10 million followers through some social agency who I paid some money, like some $100 or $200, and in an overnight thing he just went on and he said, oh, Caiyad Phahad is a big celebrity. So I keep coming across this question, that why you don't have that much of follower. I said, I'm never running around the followers. People who follows me, they want to follow me, they follow me. If they don't want to follow me, I'm not like, but I'm just still doing my work, and I'm still spreading my word. At the end of the day, if somebody comes and follows me, it's great. If somebody doesn't, it's okay, because then I'm still, my mission is the same. Like like, let's say if I talk about the biggest people in the world, who are like spreading the message of religion or whatever. So their intention was to spread the message, to reach out to maximum people, not to make sure that okay, how many are getting converted to it and how many are following it. That is not their concern. I mean, because they can't take that responsibility of making sure that everyone is praying every night and everyone is going to the church every week. That is not their responsibility, or they don't have that much of bandwidth or time, or to get into it. Hey, did you wake up on time? Did you pray? Did you go to the church? No. So of course they were spreading the message. They were running around the world, they're going around the places, they were trying every single opportunity to spread the message of the God, or the religion, or whatever information they want to spread around. They were not concerned or bothered that how many are getting. They're not counting on fingers. Hey, out of 1,000, how many got converted? How many are following? How many going to the pray? No, because, and that's what I'm also into. I don't have that bandwidth to kind of go, hey, did you follow me? Hey, did you send me a message? Are you did you get the right message from my training or the message? Now it's up to the people. There are some responsibility lies on the people as well, to kind of understand that if they got the opportunity to hear me out, or to hear us out, that's an opportunity for them. If they're not taking that opportunity, it's not our responsibility, or it doesn't give us that kind of kind of a thing, that we have to make sure that people are listening to us and following us. That's not our thing. Our thing, what we're doing as a group, me, you, Grace, we all, what we're doing is we're trying to reach out to maximum people in our best capacity, to spread out the right message to them, to make sure that they understand from it, they learn from it, they get something out of it. But we can't go door to door, knock their doors, knock their windows out, and say, "Hey, please come out and become an entrepreneur," or or discover yourself, or find yourself, or find your way out in life. No, because we have a lot in our plate too. We have to do a lot for ourselves as well. We have to fight with our health. We have to fight with our daily things. We have to fight with our expenses, bills, everything in life, and our ambitions are things. So this is the thing. So the thing is that people have misunderstood the word of influencer in a real world now. They don't understand what influencer is. They think, oh, 10 million followers, influencer. The 4 million followers, influencer. No. Or a celebrity. No, that doesn't make them a celebrity. Celebrity or influencer is someone who has done some kind of a struggle in life, who has been through in life, and then he's coming out of it, and then and trying to tell you the story. That's the influencer, or that's a celebrity. I never consider anyone who's coming to me saying I'm 10 million follower, and I look at them and I say fine. And in many of the occasions, the discussion and the conversation has went to a level where I literally put a paper on the table and say, bring someone on the table who has that much of experience and the profile like me. You could find millions of people who are richer than me, fine. You could find millions and millions of people who are probably more known than me, true. You could find probably millions and millions of people who have done a particular work in an industry, let's say a fashion. So they are a great fashion designer or a great singer, but with such multitasking, with such a thing, who has done this thing, that thing, that kind of a work, with such a diversity, with such kind of conviction, with such kind of a profile in education, because I'm a gold medalist in education, I'm a scholarship holder in education. I've also received the golden visa from the UAE ministry based on my credentials. And also, I've done so much in the corporate industry, and I'm still doing 20 years in the corporate world, working for the top bank. I won't say I'm at a very top position, but yeah, I'm at a decent position. Plus, I've been doing 20 years of media here and there, something or the other, hosting, acting. So I think, and then I've traveled to 50 countries, more than 50 countries actually, and that's also on my own expense. So I've seen the world, and I've seen the ups and downs, and I've traveled on my own. I've traveled, I've done the solo traveling. So solo traveling is something which if I have to give a message to someone, if anyone is listening, if anyone will listen to it, if anyone will go through this, I would say leave everything and start solo traveling, because solo traveling is something which makes you discover yourself, it makes you know who you are, which makes you feel the real world in the real way. Because if you don't travel alone, you won't know the world, you won't know yourself, because when you travel alone, that's where you discover yourself and your capabilities and your strength, your weakness, what can you actually do, and how would you actually handle a certain scenario, how would you actually manage a certain thing and stuff in life. Because staying in a living room, or being in a living room, we think we can conquer the world, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we are the best, we are the best person in the world, I'm the best athlete, I'm the best musician, and that. But when you actually start traveling alone, that's where you face the people, that's where you face yourself, that's where you see the real world, that's where you see people coming after you, that's where you see you're being chased, you're being people are kind of being after your life or whatever. You see difficult scenarios as you travel much. You go into the jungles, you go into the mountains, that's where you face the real world. Maybe that's where you see some animals attacking you, or you getting into a very dramatic situation or life threatening situation, you getting into deep into the water and getting stuck. So many of the things, when you travel alone, you learn, and then you learn the techniques of saving yourself, or surviving techniques. So that's what makes you more stronger than anything in the world. Because if you think you sitting in a living room and reading out the books, and that makes you the best person in the world, or makes you strong, trust me, no. What makes you strong, what makes you discover yourself, what makes you know yourself better, is when you get into the real world and you face the world and you see the world. You can't know the world and the things by sitting in a living room or a drawing room, or in a study room and say, oh. Because when you used to study in the classes and the classroom stuff, that's where we used to feel like, oh, you know what, the world is a great place, I'm the best student, I know this thing, I know maths, I know science, I know this. But trust me, I know nothing. When I went out the world has treated me and welcomed me in a very different way. And I was like, how is it possible? Like Like, I learned all these things in my books. That's how the world should be, but the world was not exactly the same how I read in the books in my school and stuff. The world was a different place, the people were different, everybody welcomed me, and I always feel the life, when you see the life, it's like I don't know how many of people who are listening to us and who listen to us knows the Mount Everest, but I always compare life with Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the toughest mountain to climb in the world. It's in Nepal, um, in Asia, and I feel as much as you try to go up at the Mount Everest thing, life gets harder. So, and that's how life is. As much as you try to grow in life, as much as you try to move on in life, there are much threats for you, there are much difficulties for you, and there are much enemies around you who are trying to, make sure that you don't go to that places. And your enemies, I feel that's always around you. You don't, and we always have that kind of a dilemma that we try to look for enemies far away from us, that okay, maybe in some country my enemy is there. It's not. Your biggest enemies are mostly around you. 95% of enemies are always closer to you and you don't feel, and most of them are your friends or your relatives and someone who's very close to you, your colleagues and your co-workers and all. You don't need to look for enemies around, like far far away. Oh, you know what, I did something in that country. Probably that guy is after my life. No, no,
Okay,
no.
okay. Cyan, hold on a
Yeah.
little bit.
Sorry.
Let me. Okay, so let's do something else. You're an actor. You said you're an actor, right? So I want us to switch this a little bit. Let's bring some little fun into this conversation, right? I want us to do a script right now. I'm going to be would you be my boss or I be your boss? So we're going to do a very short drama. You
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 you will
you
be
you're
my
going to
boss.
tell me.
I don't
Let me
prefer to be the boss. You want me you I want you to be
So
my
I'm
boss.
going to be the boss right now, and I'm going to talk to you, and we're just going to act. I want us to do a little bit of acting right now.
See, we all
So
doing acting in a daily life. What we're doing right now, everything what we do is
we're
an acting.
acting. So this is scripted. We have the unscripted, and I mean this is unscripted. We have the scripted and the unscripted. So let's do
Yeah,
something now. I'm going to
sure.
put on my acting professional cap now, and then
Sure.
I'll say, Sire, I told you 3 days ago to come up with the report. What's been happening? I have waited, I have checked my emails, and I have not seen any report from you. What's your explanation, Syed? What is your explanation?
Ma'am, I'm so sorry. You know what? Because I have so much problem going on at my home. My family is not well. I have to take care of them. I have to take them to the hospital every day. It's going on. I'm getting calls from the doctor, ma'am. Please give me more time. Give me like at least 4 to 5 more days. I will give you these reports, ma'am. I've been a very punctual and very organized person. I've always given you everything on time. But you know what, ma'am? This situation is very bad in my life. I'm facing, life-threatening situation, ma'am. The money you're paying me is very less. You're paying me $1 a week. So,
Okay, that's a beautiful one. I like the humor. So I wanted us to, over to you, the energetic. Thank you. That was a beautiful one. And how can I pay you one
I, I,
dollar?
I just thought to make it a bit funny, at the end, because
And I
it was
like it. I love
a,
it. All
Oh my
right,
goodness.
over to you, the energetic.
Oh my goodness. That was funny. Thank you, Grace, for putting him on the hot seat to do that quick 1 minute 1 minute acting.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So Sarah, thank you. Your journey is quite interesting. Now you've worked with over 400 celebrities across the globe, right? What's one behind the scenes story that you can remember right now and you can share with us, that kind of that is significant for you, that maybe taught you something important that helped your career, or something you just look at right now and it makes you laugh or smile, just the memory? So what's one significant experience you've had across your journey working with 400 celebrities that you can share with us with the lesson it taught you?
So if we talk about the lesson, the biggest lesson in the world, that nothing is impossible. In a very simple way, whatever you want to achieve, you can achieve, and that's very possible. And I will prove it with the facts. So what happens now? Now I'll tell you the story. So the first is the lesson that nothing is impossible, everything is achievable. Now the story is, there were celebrities, and there's one celebrity I used to kind of watch on the TV, on MTV. Especially MTV was pretty new at that time when I was a kid. So there was one rapper who used to come on the TV, and he was like very huge. His name is Apache, Apacche, Apache Indian. So he's a UK rapper, but he's from Indian origin. He has some kind of Indian connection, but his rap was like very significant, and it even touches to the level of Bob Marley to an extent. So if you Google him now, you'll know what kind of songs he has done and all. Many of the rappers now in the Asia countries follows him and grows up listening to him and starts following his thing, and still calls him like a legend or a mentor or a guru. Now, the story is, when I used to watch him on the TV as a kid, I was like, man, who's this guy? It's like some kind of an amazing thing. So we had a Tupac on the other side, on a more the English side, and then he still do the English ones, but his English is mixed with some kind of Indian words and stuff. So, but then he's still good. So I won't say he's as good as Tupac. Of course, Tupac is a global legend, but then yeah, he's very close to Tupac. He's very big at that time when he started, and recently, of course, he retires. But then he was a big thing. So when I used to listen to him, I was like, I could never, I mean, listening to him live was like a dream. Forget about meeting him and all that kind of a thing. So cut the story short, and then that story is gone. I used to listen to him every now and then in my car, everywhere I go and stuff. One fine day, I got to know he's coming to my country to perform in some place, and I was into event management. I started that celebrity management, event management at that time. So somehow I was able to reach out to him, connect with him, and then I got a message from his team. Yes, he's okay to meet you. And for that whole period of time, I was like, man, this is not possible. I'm gonna meet him. That's not the truth. And I can't digest the celebrity you growing up listening to, apart from not from your country. I mean, it's okay that if a celebrity is from your country, you may pop in, or get to meet him somewhere or the other, in some events, because he's participating in many local events and some colleges, universities, whatever. So it's a possibility to see someone from your own country somewhere or the other. But someone who's far away from you, from a different country altogether, you never think that you will probably ever even go to his country, because of your resources and all. As a kid, you don't think about all those things, but when you're growing up, also it's difficult when you're have very restricted resources, and you're very tight on things. So you feel like, oh, will I ever be able to meet Elon Musk? Very difficult. Nowadays, no, because now you have a lot of resources and options, and so and kind of information coming around on social media that, okay, Elon Musk is traveling to that country, so you kind of probably find your way out to go to that country and attend that event. But at I'm talking about back in 90s or 2000, early 2000 was difficult. Like, everything was a dream. So then when I get to meet him, I was like, I was not even believing when he was like, they're telling now he's coming. Everything was just like, so much was happening. And then I get to meet him. I sat next to him. I took pictures with him. I had a conversation. I did not even believe I met the same guy. For a long period of time, I was like, I was like, I'm meeting someone else. It was not,
You
can't
were
be him.
starstruck.
Starstruck probably still a very small word. I mean, I was literally like, you can say, in my dream world kind of a thing. I was like, what is this? I mean, have I really met him? And then, not just I met him, but he offered me an opportunity to work with him, and I worked with him as well. So the kind of thing is what I'm trying to say, what I said earlier, as a lesson and a message, that nothing is impossible and everything is achievable. So
I
this
love
one story is always a highlight of my life and career, because I've met more celebrity. I even met Madonna. I even met Janet Jackson. I met a lot of people, but
Hmm.
then I was never like intrigued with them, or like starstruck, as you said, with them, or but so those stories are still there. Those stories are still big. Like I met those people. I
Yeah.
saw George Michael performing live. I've seen many people. I work with many people, but then
Hmm.
this particular story is always in highlight because
Yes,
that
yes.
person I
It
always
stays
looked
with
up.
you. I love it. I love it. I mean, I can relate with, somebody you grew up admiring and having to have that encounter. I cannot be the same. It leaves a mark on your heart. Now let's talk quickly about, this self-discovery topic. Say you're going to talk to somebody, younger generation, because you coming in from, you started your journey 2003. That's a long time ago. It's almost like another century ago for Gen Zs and Gen Alpha right now, right?
Please
But
don't say that again. It again makes me feel a bit old.
don't worry, we're together.
Say
We're
it was just a
millennials.
recent experience.
But what I'm trying to say is there is still a relationship between that experience and now. There are young people now that just know they just know they have capacity to do a lot of things. But then in this era, because of the way that we have access to information, there is a lot of information coming at them to say, if you want to become known, if you want to, you have to focus on one thing, which is true, right? But there's always an exception where there's somebody who has the capacity to do multiple things, right? Or to be able to move from one place to another, like you did in one same industry, but you're able to move around fast. So if we're going to speak to a young person who is in this place where you were over 20 years ago, to say, I think I can do this, but the voices around me are making me feel like I cannot. What would you say to that person to kind of give them the boost to go for it?
See, the worst or probably your dilemma of this era is that we are too much technology oriented and dependent on technology, and now we're moving towards AI, which is the danger, which is going to put most of our life in danger for sure. It's not that I'm afraid of the technology or I'm against the technology. I'm just saying that it's making us more lazy. It's making us more less creative and less what you call self-dependent, and making us dependent on the technology and things. Now we are asking Siri on things to do things for us and guide us on some technology. Similarly, we're depending on AI. Similarly, we're depending on many technologies to do our stuff. As if we look into our generation, like me, you, and Grace, and we talk about our people around us, we are more what you call energetic, or more creative in much bigger way, and much of a multitasker. You won't find in the new generation a lot of multitasker. You'll find a lot of lazy people sitting around using their phone and mobile and technologies and doing things over internet and social media and stuff. Most of the people I've seen across, the kids, they just don't want to move around even from the chair. We used to walk around places and stuff and do things, and we still do, like how we used to do job interviews, how we used to go places to places with our CVs, how we used to go and struggle and find jobs in places and stuff. This itself is, it's a story in its own, because we come from that generation. And then the people at this point of time, I think they are very ignorant in many ways. They first, acceptance is the thing, right? To accept, yeah, to accept someone, that yeah, this person exists and he has done this and done that. This in a modern generation is very difficult to convince them, because as I said earlier in my conversations, that people are following a very wrong trend, where they relate success with following, where they relate a person's journey with how many followers you have on social media. They don't even look into that, how, what degrees he have, what colleges he has been to, what his struggle is, what he has done in real life. People don't even care. So it's very difficult now to make people understand, because when my parents or my family used to talk to me at when I was a kid, they used to tell me their stories, and I never understood. Like, they used to say they used to walk kilometers to kilometers to get water. They used to go to do, to mountain to do this thing. And I'm like, man, is it real? Is he talking real? I mean, in the real life, who would walk like 2 kilometers to get water? But as I grew up, I started understanding, yeah, that must be their life, and that's what they said is true, and that's what their struggle is. But then I feel that there is still a lot of respect between like our generation, we still pay a lot of respect to our elders and to our seniors and to our mentors, but which you don't find it in a modern age, because now people don't have one mentor. When you ask me for a celebrity story, I gave you only one. So that's my story. Despite I met much bigger stars than him, but then that was my respect or tribute to someone I loved and I grown up listening to. But nowadays, everyone has probably 20, 30 mentors, and which keeps changing every day. Like, oh wow, I'm following this now, I'm following that person now, I'm following this. For this, I follow this. For this, I follow that. So the world is going probably in a very different direction, which is very unexpected. But I
Mm.
would just like to say, believe in yourself and believe less on the technology and things, and try to learn more things by yourself. Try to make
Mm.
yourself more skillful, more credible, more knowledgeable as much as you can. I still study things. I still
To
watch
learn.
documentaries over movies. I
Mm.
prefer documentaries. I try to know what happened, why it happened, who did that,
Right.
why did that, what was their purpose, what was in their mind, what happened when they did that. So I always trying to find purpose behind things, that if someone has done this, if Grace has done this, if someone has done this, what's the purpose, why she did
Right.
that, what was the reason behind that, why she took that way, why she didn't take the other way. That's my journey, that's my story, and I that's why I travel as well. When I travel, I discover places. I just don't go to take a picture at Eiffel Tower, or a picture down
You
the
like
Burj
to
Khalifa.
learn the
I
story behind the place.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I go places. I try to understand from the locals what's the myth behind it. When I went into the pyramids, I wanted to know why the pyramids was built. Then I watch a lot of documentaries. I still do how the pyramids was built. That's still, it's a mystery. People say it's alien. People say it's this. So there is still I do a lot of hard work behind things to know and to understand what's happening in the real
Hmm.
world. why
Hmm.
why the world war happened, why the Hitler behaved the way he did, why the things, the world has changed. All those kind of things I still watch and understand, and I'm still discovering. It's not that I haven't. I still try to learn religion of different kinds, because there are multiple
Right.
religions around the world. So I need to understand that why there were multiple religions first, why there was not
Hmm.
only one religion and everyone was following that, what's the
Right.
reason behind all the religion came into existence, who and what's the purpose, and why it happened, and why who did that, and all that kind of a thing I'm still discovering. So
Hmm.
I and it's not like I'm trying to disrespect something over something. I respect everything which exists in the world, because that's the reason they exist.
Hmm.
So you have to respect everything which exists in the world. But yes, you
Right.
have all the right to understand and discover. But nowadays, the people, the kids on the block, they don't even care. They don't even bother why
Hmm.
something is there, and why it exists. They just want, okay, let's just have it, and then that's about it. That's it. So I'm,
Right.
I'm not
Well,
saying they're not
well,
smart. They're probably more smarter than us in a much different way. But again, that
right.
doesn't make them more credible or more what you call skillful or more knowledgeable than what we are.
More, yeah.
Because
I
we
agree.
because what
I,
we have done the hard way. When you've done the things hard way, nothing more teaches you when you go on the ground and do something.
and do
So
the
in
work
my
and get
yeah.
the experience, get your hands dirty. I love it. And I think, if just to summarize everything you've shared today, is that when you discover who you are on the inside, you go and do the work to get the work done, if that makes sense, right? So it's like you've discovered your interest, for example. Do everything in your power to ensure that you are growing deeper in that area. So if whatever you decide or whatever you find out to be your source of interest, how are you learning about that thing? How are you applying what you are learning? And how are you sharing that with other people as well? So that way you keep improving in your knowledge, you keep building your credibility and actually doing the work, and not just in, especially in this time and age. I know it's easier said than done, where we are all now, well, we're all now technically we're all now pretty dependent, on technology and all of that, but we still need to pull ourselves back to come back to the basics, to ensure that we are living our authentic lives and we are not just going and coasting and depending on the is it digital or the tech, to live. Technology is there to make life better for us, but we shouldn't abdicate our living to technology. We should be aware that we should be present in improving ourselves on a daily basis. Gracie, what's coming for you from this conversation as we wrap up? Because our time is now fast spent. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. I would say that something you just mentioned around asking questions. So I put up a video on my WhatsApp status this morning, and it was a video around a young girl that was curious. She saw her mom cutting off the head of a fish, the head and the tail, throwing it away, and then working with just the middle. And she was curious. She said, "Mom, why did you throw the tail and the head?" And the mom said, "I watched my mom do it that way." And then the girl was ready. She called her grandmom and said, "Grandma, why do you like why cut the head and the tail off?" The grandma said, "I don't know. I saw my mom do it." And the girl, thankfully, the great grandma was alive. The girl went straight to the great grandma's house and said, "Grandma, great grandma, why were you cutting the head and the head of your fish before preparing it?" And grandma said, "In 1952, my pan was very little. It couldn't contain the head and the tail, so I had to focus on just the middle." And it dawned on the girl that they have carried culture from one culture to the other based on the problem of that period. So when you were talking about asking questions and getting to find out things for yourself, it makes a lot of sense because that's my definition of self-discovery. Why am I like this? What is it about me that I need to do to get to this point? Or what are my capabilities? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? By the time you ask yourself questions like this, one funny thing, and I'm going to wrap up with that. A friend of a friend, we were in a conversation about 2 days ago, and I told the person that, I studied physics, but I've now switched to psychology, which is something that I'm enjoying, right? As a therapist, I love it. And he said, "No, why did you switch to psychology? You should have switched from physics to computer." That's like, and I'm like, in my mind, I didn't respond to the person, but in my mind, I'm like, who's this person to tell me what I should do? Right? You think, I mean, it's a funny thing that people people that don't know themselves, they are easy. Like somebody can just come and tell you that, "Okay, you are this. I think you should do this or do this or do that." And you find people doing things that they really don't want to do. They don't have any business doing because they don't know what they want. But of course, for somebody to even think like that, I didn't waste my time to explain that. No, I have done a lot of things with I've discovered my strengths, and I have discovered that this field is what I'm interested in doing.
Like it was
And
an intentional decision, a journey
it
that
was
brought
an
you here.
intentional decision, man. At this age, I mean, when we were children, we had our parents telling us what to do or not to do. But for me going to get a second degree, you should know that I sat down and decided, because it's a very
Talk about
difficult thing to want to go back to school, right? So you may have thought about it critically before going ahead to do it. But there was no need to explain to that person, because for you to have mentioned it, that, no, you shouldn't have. I'm like, okay, no need.
whatever.
Anyways, no need. And I think it's very important. For me, I would say that if anybody would watch this now or later or anytime, knowing yourself and doing the things that you're very happy doing and creating a niche around it is the way to go. People still talk about passion. We're not everybody doing one thing or the other. They are doing it's just to learn the business of doing it, and upscaling from there. That's all I
Yeah.
have to say.
And yeah, thank you so much, Gracie, for that. And as much as yes, passion is not enough, but it's actually the best starting point, because when you are passionate about that thing, it gives you the drive on the days that are low. But if you're not, Yes, you could be doing well, but you are complaining, you are ungrateful, you're unhappy. You are like, what's the point of doing anything and being so unhappy about it? Like, some people you can never ask them about work. Like it's always like,
Oh,
please, please, please,
they will
just leave.
pour it on you. Like,
It's like, please, please, work is work. Please just leave me alone. I'm like, wow, that must be really, really tough to wake up every single day to go do what you don't like. And it's not as if, okay, it's just for a season and it's a talk for another day where they don't like it, but they don't have the courage enough to transfer to what you like. And I think, like you said, it all boils down to self-discovery, because once you discover what your capacities are, you don't go against it. You rather push through even when it is hard. When you know it is hard, but this is where my capacity lies, I'm going to face it. I will come through, eventually. Thank you so much, Caiyad Phahad, for
Yeah.
being a guest on the show today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sticking with your what would I call it now? With your
Agenda
belief,
with my mission.
even though you've been evolving over the years, but the fundamentals are still there, and you are open to sharing that with the world. So thank you for sharing that. That's on your voice, your impact on our show today. We wish you all the very best as you continue to spread your message and amplify your voice for impact as you continue to impact your world, whether in the corporate world or in the entertainment world. All right, guys.
Thank you
This
so
is
much. Before we wrap up, I just want to say a couple of things. I know we are over time, a couple of minutes, but I'll take a minute.
okay.
On the technology dependency, as I said, it's important, but then we also have to go to the basics. Like, still, I don't rely on Google Map, because once the technology, let's say, if I don't have the Wi-Fi, what happens? I will not be able to reach my location. So I'm still old school. I still follow the same direction. I still stop, even now. I stop by and ask people, where is that shop? How can I go there? Which lane do I take? So I still follow that, because it's a basic, and there's a reason behind it why I don't do that, or why I don't have my reliance on Google Map, because there are places where I got stuck where there's no internet. Like, I've been to a jungle and I got stuck. So many places, mountains and stuff, where the internet doesn't work, where you don't have the technology and stuff. So that's one reason I still go old school, and I go to the basics, where I need to know the fundamentals, as you mentioned. So this is a very important message for people, that dependence is good on certain things, but don't fully rely on things. Have to have your basic knowledge, have to have the basic things. That's one. You mentioned about learning or discovering what you want to do, the passion. But before that, you need to understand who you are. That's the discovery you need to make first. That why do you exist in this world? Why do you even come? Do you come here to support your family only? Do you come here to take care of the family mission? Do you come here to take care of some religious mission, or you come here? So that's the first thing you need to understand, and then you follow your passion. Then you develop your passion accordingly, that okay, this is the mission, this is the reason I exist, this is the reason I'm here. Now you develop everything around that. Everything has to be your passion, your interest, everything has to be around that. You can't go against your mission, because you can't say, oh, I'm born for this, like I'm born to be a religious person. This is my self discovery about my. I'm not saying if somebody's forcing you that you're born to a religious family, you're born to like a priest, and you're saying, okay, you have to be a priest. No, I'm saying when you're born as a person, your journey evolves, that you discover yourself first, that why do you exist, and then everything accordingly, your passion and everything gels together, and then you work toward it. And as Grace mentioned, nobody should force you, nobody should tell you what to do. It's you who has to make a decision on it. So I would still tell everyone who's watching it, watch it later, watch it after 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, whenever. Please find yourself, find your thing, and work towards it. Don't forget the basics. Always keep the basics intact. Thank you so very much, and thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that beautiful wrap up. And yes, this is where we draw the curtain this week until we come your way again next week with yet another episode on Your Voice, Your Impact. Still continuing even in October with our career conversations. Next week, we're speaking to a doctor and a negotiation coach. So you want to be a part of that conversation as well. If you are not yet following us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can follow both of us individually on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and as well, you can subscribe to our Substack channel so you can get to read from us, during the week, just not about the your voice, your impact, but other insights that we want to share with you during the week. So please subscribe to our Substack channel so you can hear from us more often with our thoughts as we go through life ourselves, sharing our own impact using text now as our voice channel. But thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Till we'll come your way again next week. This is the energetic EJ saying goodbye. Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.